Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my LinkedIn Lives. I'm Jasmine Navarro, certified wellbeing expert, working with educational institutions and companies, helping them support their family wellbeing challenges. And as you know, every week I interview different experts who make a difference. And today I'm super excited to be interviewing Patrick. Hi, Patrick.
Hi, Jasmine. Good morning or
Good
afternoon.
evening. Thank you so much for coming on. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure, absolutely. As introduced, my name is Patrick Rife. I am an entrepreneur. I am a father. I am a husband. I am a lifelong creative for sure. And I'm here today because I had the extreme privilege of connecting with Jasmine a few months ago on LinkedIn. And we have been supporting one another and finding community, and a lot of what you put out resonates a ton, and I think has a lot to do with what my last year has been like, quite honestly, and honestly, getting to a hunch that I've had for a very long time, and I've kind of dedicated the last year to wayfinding what that means for me, and how it's going to change and influence, I guess, the rest of my life.
Wow. Interesting. I love this title that you chose, How to Show Up Completely, Why You Are Your Best Opportunity. I love that title, and I've had so many messages and comments about this. Can you tell us why you chose it? What does it mean? And what do you want to tell us?
Yeah, of course. I mean, Uh, what does it mean and why did I choose it? I chose it because it's the mantra that I am trying to live under, the banner of my life. And I think the second half is a little more simple to explain than the first half of it.
Okay.
Like w- why it's your best opportunity is because it is your number one differentiator. Like there is only one you, and the more that we can find the strength in the courage to be completely who we are, the better chance we really have. And this is like so woo. I'm not even a woo person, but I know that it feels very woo.
It's so
But
true.
like the better chance that we have at standing out in our world, right? Whether it's for a partner, or whether it's for a career, or whether it's for a friendship, or whether it's for ourselves looking back in the mirror.
Yeah.
The most likely way to find success in that and be differentiated is just to be completely who you are. And I think the reason that I have needed to get woo about this as of late is that it's something that I have internally always been. But in the last, I've been running, I run a company called Pixelated, and I do a few other things, but it's been my primary bread and butter. It's my big company that I've run for 13 years now,
Oh,
and
wow.
it's wonderful and it's done amazing things for me. But in my pursuit of doing it well, I have often sidelined the things that are most intrinsically me because I worried that they didn't serve the business for what it needed. And
Oh,
after doing that for 12 years, I got to a place where I really felt devoid of the purpose in showing up. And I really got to this place of realizing that um, whether that was or wasn't right for the business, which by the way, I don't think it's actually right for the business, it wasn't right for me. And at the end of the day, if I can't show up completely and live through every moment in my day, then what good is it, right? What good is compartmentalizing who you actually are in
yeah.
service of something very temporary, right? Our careers are very temporary. Our
Yeah.
self-esteem and how we can see ourselves is eternal, right? That will go forever. So I don't know. That's
No, it's brilliant. So basically you were saying be yourself for your business, yeah? That was the message. You weren't saying not be yourself, were you? You said be yourself.
no, I'm saying absolutely be
Yeah,
yourself,
yeah,
and find pride in all of those those unique weirdnesses about you.
yeah,
Like I'm a weird person,
yeah,
and I center it, and I've always centered it, and I think that that's what attracts people to me, quite honestly.
Yeah, well, you find, yeah, if you're authentic, you're going to get the authentic people who
Yes.
feel connected with you. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
But I love, sorry, I interrupted you, but I love everything that you just said there. I mean, I found it so refreshing because I feel like the more I work on myself, the more courage I have to be myself, and the less I feel like I have to listen to other people and copy them. You know, when you're learning about business and things, and you're doing all this training, and you feel like, oh, they're doing that, I've got to do that. But when you really start working on yourself, you realize, no, I don't need to look at everybody else. I can just look at me.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. So eh, it's literally I left a comment on someone's post this morning that
Yeah.
literally said your ideas are, like your ideas greater than symbol any guru's ideas. And
Well, oh, I love
like,
that.
and that's absolutely true. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't read and learn. Like, I
No,
love reading other people's things, but
yes.
like, I don't want to deploy just what they've said. I want to take in and I want to let it ferment in my own mind, right? And then I want to deploy what my idea is based off the influence of what they've done, right? Like, that's
Yeah,
why, you're
yeah.
not copying, you're taking it as inspiration and you're coming back with something that is uniquely your own.
Well, exactly. And like you said, yeah, of course, we learn from other people, but like you said, but we interpret it our way, and we do what we think is best. And I think that's really, really powerful. But you see, don't you? Because when you look on LinkedIn or you look on all these platforms, and sometimes you do see that it's just all copy and paste, and people are doing the same thing.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
kind of boring, actually. Sometimes I do it. I've done it
I,
as well. But like I said, the more I'm evolving and trusting myself, the less I'm doing it.
Yeah, I fall into that trap as well, and it's one of the
Yeah.
reasons why um, I really try and fall back on. So I've been writing this newsletter for a year. It's called Ground Control, and Ground Control. So last August, I went through this kind of aha moment. I like to think that it was preceding a midlife crisis, but maybe it was a midlife crisis, and I'm just too vain to call it that. But I went through this very cataclysmic personal experience, and it
Wow.
really made me recognize how much I wasn't serving myself and what my potential was as a human being. And I've had these moments intermittently throughout my entire life, but I came to this place and I just was like, I need to make a change. I need to make a significant change so that way I can make sure that in another year the things that I'm doing are lighting me up. And the way that I decided to do that was to write, right? And I started this newsletter. It's called Ground Control. And Ground Control is kind of like my big platform that I've been building for the last year. And really, what it's about is it's about centering self awareness, and it's about centering, like what serves you well and wayfinding your place to it. So, my Ground Control newsletter is very vulnerable. It's like super
Oh,
me.
really?
My writing on LinkedIn, it isn't as much, right? Because there's
Yeah.
formatting and there's syntax and there's all this stuff that you really need to play the game for how it works. But
Okay.
specifically, my short form video content on LinkedIn, that's the closest thing that actually hits to what the Ground Control newsletter is, because it's all of my candor, right? Like, I'm talking with my hands, like I'm like, you're hearing my self-doubt, but my conviction in the face of self-doubt, right? You're hearing my refusal to accept the status quo as being the only path that moves forward. So it's interesting. I feel the same way that you do. Sometimes I write stuff and I'm like, this is like every other eight
Yeah, yeah,
tips to
yeah.
be
And you're just
self-aware
doing it,
post or whatever.
yeah, to save time, or it's easier, or I mean, because I think maybe we don't always want to feel completely vulnerable all the time.
Well, sometimes
Something,
you don't have the
yeah,
time to get there, right? Sometimes you're
yeah,
just like,
true,
I'm
true.
behind, like I gotta go, and you crank something out,
Yeah,
and like, and the sad part is sometimes that's the thing that does like super well, and you're like, oh, why be
yeah,
me? Sometimes just the copy pasta does perform well, but I think that the
true, true.
difference is I'm not exclusively trying to grow for growth's sake, right? I'm very much trying to make sure that I'm accomplishing things that are on my agenda, that mean
Love
something to
that.
me.
Yes, exactly. As long as you've got the foundation, you
Yes.
can change it. But so, I mean, you said, I mean, you kind of answered this question, but why we are our own best opportunity. Can you tell us more about that? I know, we're the only ones who can be ourselves. We're the best. What's the phrase? No one can be ourselves better than us.
Yeah.
Why else would you say we're our own best opportunity?
Well, I mean, I think that it has a lot to do with what you have to bring to the table. And I think that
Okay.
when it comes to confidence, like that's a heavy word.
Yeah.
And I think that too often, particularly in this world that we live in, right, in this capitalist kind of society, that we're forced to just be, we're a puzzle piece, and we got to fit ourselves in there some way. And a lot of the ways that we think to do that is just to like read the job description and then figure out how we can become applicable in our own story, right? So rather than me saying, these are all the things that will make me a unique fit for this position, right? We instead say, these are all the things that qualify me to do exactly what you've described here, right? It's like taking a job description and feeding it into Chat GPT and saying, write me a cover letter and fix my resume so that way it speaks exactly to this. And like part of that is self-consciousness. Part of that is a lack of self-esteem. Part of that is worry about the tools that read like the resumes. And again, job seeking is only one example, right? Like partner seeking could be another thing. Friend seeking could be another thing. Like
Yeah.
these are
Yeah.
these are all applicable, but
Yeah.
we tend to do this mirroring thing, which is effective in a and when we're trying to make people feel comfortable and really connect with them. Like that's a great tool to deploy. But when we're talking about bigger long-term things, right? Like you don't only want to mirror the taste that this potential, like you're going on a date, right? And you want to be just like that person. But if you're leaving like the most critical elements of you unmentioned, like
Wow.
how is that really going to work out in the long run? Like it's not, right? You're going to wake up in 10 years or 12 years or 20 years and be like, this isn't me at all. And then you have to
Oh,
start all over again.
there's so many things that I'm thinking when you're saying that. First of all, it's like the people pleasing. So again, it's lack of self-esteem, lack of confidence, and also wanting sort of like a quick fix or thinking about the short term only. Which I guess sometimes that's good, just thinking about now, because that strategy could probably make you feel happy in the moment, actually, because you're not worrying about the future when your real self comes out. But like, what do you think? I don't know. There's just so many things coming up. I
Yeah.
agree with you completely, but
Yeah, and I would say to you like that I don't have the solution at all. And that's what ground control has been about, right? Because
yeah,
so throughout my years running Pixelated, I've also run some other entrepreneurial communities, and like I try to always be a helper. Like I try to always be someone that is lifting other people up just
wow,
because it's the right thing to do. And
yeah,
like at the center of my thesis of where I'm trying to get to, and I use this analogy all the time, but what I really love to do is to sit across.
oh, you've disappeared, Patrick. Okay, you've actually disappeared. Right. Are you still there, Patrick? Hi, everybody. We're just talking about why being yourself is your best, can give you your best opportunities. And Cameron says, valuable conversation. Thank you so much, Cameron. Patrick has just disappeared. So hopefully he will come back, because I was really getting into that conversation. Let me just message him. Okay. If anybody has any questions in the meantime, please let me know. This is the first time this has ever happened. um, oh, I keep thinking he's coming back. No. Okay. Maybe his internet's gone. So I will wait for a little bit. Yeah. So yeah, we were just, it was so interesting. And I love Patrick's energy as well. But if anybody's there and has any questions, please let me know. If not, I think I might have to end it. I mean, we did 15 minutes, which is not bad. But oh, he's actually gone. Okay, well, I'm going to go now, find out what's happened. We'll be back if Patrick can come back. If not, I will see you all next week. And hi, thank you so much. I know that was so interesting, wasn't it? So interesting. I loved Patrick's energy. Maybe he will come back. He was absolutely brilliant. That is such a shame. That is such a shame. But if anyone has any questions in the meantime, me too. I really need to know what he needs to say. Oh, he's back. He's back.
I'm so sorry.
Oh,
I don't know what happened.
Okay.
I don't know what happened.
No, don't worry. But look, G Fatima says, I really need to know what he was about to say. Everybody was on the edge of the seat, on the edge of my seat. Yes, me too. So
Yeah.
yes, carry on, Patrick. Carry on.
All right, here we go. So what I was about to say is that I'm like trying to find out what is the thing that I can rely on to fill my cup up, right?
Oh,
And
okay.
and what I found is that I have this innate ability to work with other people and to listen to them, to hear what they're working on, and to see them at their fork in the road that they just cannot figure out, right? And
Oh, wow.
to listen to them, and then to be able to say it back. So the analogy that I use all the time, right, is like sitting and talking to someone and they're telling you about their thing and hearing them back. And I think about it as this, as like a prism, right? And the prism isn't refracting light at all, right? And then they're telling me their thing, and I say back to them, oh, well, what about this or what about that, right? And it has this ability to just shift the prism just such that all of a sudden it's like a mirror ball, and I watch it happen. Like I'm in communities and I'll sit there and it'll be like the new member Monday for the community, and I'll just go in to check out who's coming in, right? And they'll be talking about their problem or something that they're struggling with, and I'll say, well, like, this is what I heard you say. And I tend to talk a lot, and I'll be a little self-conscious, and I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, like I've talked too much, like I'm going back on mute. And inevitably they'll be leaning in and they'll say, no, 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 no. I just can't write this all down fast enough. And I'll look in the Zoom call and I'll see all of these heads wagging, right? Because the way that I parse through, and I'm not saying that it's special. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying there's something there. And I'm trying to find my way to the center of it. And I think the hardest thing for me has been that it probably lives under the umbrella of consulting, or it lives under the umbrella of coaching. And those two words, for whatever reason, have made me uncomfortable, right? But at the same time, I'm getting to this place where I have to just, I have to call it what it is, right? And say, like, if that's the banner that this needs to fly under, I need to get over it, because by not getting over it, it's preventing me from getting where I'm trying to go, which
So
is
true.
being
Go
able
through
to work with other people and to light them up and to help them. I mean, honestly, like, it's just validating their hunch that is already correct, but they just don't trust that they're correct in that hunch.
Wow. That's so powerful, Patrick. And I have to say, I love your energy so much.
Well, thank you, Jasmine. I appreciate that.
Amazing energy, amazing energy. Yeah, no, you keep saying things that I'm like, wow. So what made you start all this journey of coaching, consulting? Like, do you have a story?
Yeah,
Story. Sorry, I don't mean do you have a story? I mean, do you want to share something?
I have all the stories.
Yeah.
You know, it's personal,
Okay.
what happened, but the long story, and I can skip some of the gory details, but the reality is that I had some things happen in my family that um, clarified things that had always been there, things that I had always known, and that I had just willed myself to look past, right? They were,
Wow.
and they were
Wow.
things that not only impacted me, but they were impacting my children. And they were impacting, like, right, when we get into middle age and we can look back and we can look forward, right? You look at your parents and your grandparents, and then you look at your children, and you see all of these lines that are running through what we do. And I just realized that I had been settling for far too long and accepting some things as status quo that not only did it not ever serve me, and
Yeah.
where would I be if I had addressed this more quickly? But more so, I was terrified of the things that I was setting my children up to expect and accept. And I just thought that's completely wrong. And are you going to live your entire life under this
Wow.
cloud? Or
Wow.
are you going to finally have the guts to hold yourself accountable and to break the status quo of what your life has been, to push through to whatever that next thing is, right? I've always had this theory about in our lives, right? There's this, we know about like like your golden eras, right? Where you're going through and you're just like, you hit those moments and everything is working and you really feel like you're transcending. And then you get the valleys too, right? And I've always thought about when
Valleys.
when you're in the valleys, right? There's this mental image I have, and it's me, and it's at night, right? And I'm on the water, and I'm standing on a barge, right? And it's this big decision that you have to figure out how to make. And there's all this thrashing about, right? There's all of this heartache. There's all of this uncertainty that goes into it.
Yeah.
But I have this opinion that if you quiet your mind and you're paying attention, like there's another barge that comes right alongside, right? And all you need to do is just take a step over, and all of a sudden you're moving in a completely different direction. And it didn't take that amount of thrashing, and it didn't take all of the chaos that you think is there. That there are ways that we can find peace in that transition.
Yeah.
And I think that this is all mentality that I think we're talking about ultimately, right? Like it's the mentality to be frenzied and crazy, or it's the mentality to have faith that you can guide
Yeah.
yourself, right? And that's like, again, like that's why you're your own best opportunity, because no one can help quiet your mind aside from you. It's you at the end of the day. Like uh first thought you ever had, ever, it was just you and that thought, right? The last thought you're ever
Oh my
going
God,
to
that's scary.
have will
Yeah.
also just be the two of you. No one
Yeah.
else is going to participate in your last thought but you.
Wow.
So,
That's amazing. I need to write that down. I need to write that down, Patrick. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Again, I was thinking a million things when you were saying that. I was also thinking it's what we do, what we're used to as well, don't we? Like a lot of it can be habitual as well. It's about
totally.
breaking, breaking those patterns. Because when you were saying that, obviously, I was thinking about me and how I've changed my mindset and things like that. And of course, it's all about, well, for me, therapy, coaching, but yeah, breaking those patterns that you didn't even know you had. But you're
Yeah.
right. When you make that, you make a different decision or take a different route, it's not as hard as you expected it to be. Yeah.
No, it's our anxiety about those things,
Yeah.
and a lot of people manifest that in different ways, right? Some
Yeah.
people harness their creative energy differently, but I would venture to say that if you manage it in some kind of secondary perspective that isn't necessarily being completely centered in you, that at some point that methodology is going to run out of usefulness for you. But I think that
Oh,
when it's centered in being intrinsically you, it's always going to be your best
yeah.
opportunity to
Yeah.
wayfind to whatever that next thing, like ultimately needs to be for you.
Yeah. And you're right. And we have to just trust that, because you might not see straight away, but you might, because normally you have a feeling. Because when
Yeah.
you're honest with yourself and true to yourself, normally you have that nice feeling that, because I've done things before and maybe other people weren't happy and I wasn't sure whether to do it or not. But then I was always like, I was true to myself. I felt really good actually. And this is coming from a people pleaser where I just always put everybody else before me, and wondered why I never felt good. So I think, yeah, so you do always know, actually. You don't always have to wait, do you?
No, you don't. And honestly, like I think that we're so good at ignoring our gut. And I think you were mentioning something a few moments ago that really resonated with me, which is this idea of comfort, right? Like comfort is kind of terrifying because it really
It's
encourages you to ignore so
oh,
many things that are flying in
yeah,
the face of your best interest.
yeah. It's terrifying. It is
Yeah,
terrifying.
yeah, and
Well,
it's a human thing. It's like when I think about um like I think about adjusting my lifestyle to if I made like $1 million a year. Like that is so scary to me because then I would be stuck in concrete, right? Then what I have no freedom for flexibility at all, right? All of a sudden, I've got all of this financial responsibility. So, like, don't get me wrong, I want to make $1 million, but I still want to live off of $80,000 because one, I don't find like the things that I want
I know what you mean.
are
I know
not
what you
costly,
mean.
right? I want experiences and I want to travel
Yeah,
and I want to do things
yeah,
like that,
yeah.
but I want to
Simple.
travel and live in a van. Like, I don't want to travel and go to the Four Seasons. And if that's for you, that's okay. I'm not saying that, but for me, like that's not important. And I'm game to make all the money in the world,
Yeah,
but I
yeah,
don't want to live in comfort of all of these external validators. I want to live in comfort based on my internal validation.
yeah. But probably, I understand what you mean, but probably it wouldn't change because it sounds like you've got that strong relationship with yourself. So it probably wouldn't change. You probably wouldn't lose yourself in that.
I hope not. I
No,
hope
I don't
not.
think so. From what you're saying. I know what you mean. But also I think it could be, it sounds like not appealing because it's a change,
Right.
something different. Because I've had that before where I thought I was going to get something and it was a good thing. And then I was like, actually, no, I don't want it. But then I was like, no, I'm just panicking because it's a change. And I was like, Jasmine, stop this, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but G says the whole truth. That's what we were talking about before. And
Thank you,
G
G.
also says, thank you, G. Also says, absolutely, the middle age epiphany.
Okay. You got me.
First. And hi, Mario. How are you doing? It said, excellent insights right here. Comfort based on internal validation. This is powerful.
Thank you, Mario.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mario. Oh, no, it's so interesting. It's so interesting. And we're nearly running out of time, but we can stay for a couple more minutes if you can, because we did lose you for a few minutes.
Yeah,
But
sure. I'm terrified that it's going to happen again. I've literally been like, oh,
that was the first time it's ever happened, but that's okay. What was I going to say? I can't remember what I was going to say now. But no, I think everything you're saying is just so important. But what would you say to, viewers who, they're just thinking maybe they haven't worked on themselves emotionally, mentally, and they don't really know where to start, but they know something needs to sort of change and they need to do something different. What would you say would be the sort of first step or an easy thing that they could do? I know nothing's easy. Maybe a simple thing that they could do right now.
go for a hike by themselves. Like
Really? No, that's dangerous.
spend time alone.
Okay.
Like be bored. Like those are all the places where, like create
Yeah.
a space where all of your passive thoughts can actually come to the front of your mind. Like
Yeah.
I value being alone so
Yeah.
much. It is
Yeah.
absolutely critical to my
Yeah.
personality to be able to be alone
Me too.
every single day for an extended period of time. Um, but
Yes.
like I think that's it. And then I think outside of that, right? Like if you don't have the power to do that, find someone that can help you. Like find someone that you can rely on to be a sounding board to help you figure out what you're trying to do. Like there's nothing wrong with that. Like some
Yeah.
some
Definitely.
people, a lot of people, they just don't have that they haven't worked on that muscle, right, of self-awareness yet.
Exactly.
And it's okay, because I don't think our culturally, like, we don't value and promote that, right? Like, that's not something that we value and promote, which is a shame. And I think that we'll see a big change over the next 100 years, hopefully, in regards to that. But yeah, I would say find something that makes you bored, and don't try and escape from it, because I think that amazing things will come out when you're able to do that.
Oh wow, that's so true. That's so true. And what's one thing what would you say is the best thing that's happened to you since you've been on this self-awareness journey?
Um, I think getting really clear on what lights me up. I think that I didn't realize it before. Um, I didn't realize how much I actually do really like to work with people. I think that I thought,
Yeah.
um, I very much so when we've had really heavy head counts in my companies, I've always kind of been like, um, when I think about the idea of being like, we've got a 40-person company, or we have a 60-person company, um, but then if I think about it from a counterintuitive perspective, I'm like, yeah, but you spent like 20 minutes sitting on the corner of every single person's desk every day, like, to use the youth word, risen them up, like, talking to them, how was your day? What's going on? Like, what are the challenges? And sometimes it's all personal stuff. What did you do last night? And like giving them feedback. And sometimes it's saying like, like, I believe in you, right? I know, like, let's stop doing that. Like, they're saying like, oh, I did this and I probably shouldn't do it. And then like holding them accountable to say, well, then
Mm,
why are you doing it? And
yeah.
those things are, they just, I almost became a nurse once. And it wasn't because I love math and science. It was because I thought that my personality and my skill set with communicating with people would give me an extreme return on my energy, but also that it would provide
Love that return on
innate
energy.
value to people, that I thought that I could really be helpful in that capacity to shed positive light inside of someone's mind at a place of doubt.
Wow.
And I think that ultimately, like, that's kind of the same thing that I'm getting at now, right? Except without having to do the math and science part, because again, not really my interest as much. But um, I think that that's what I've learned, is that there are parts of me that I have been lying to myself about what I love. And what I
Yeah.
love is working with people. Like, I love this.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, me
you can
too. Real
you can
conversation.
feel it,
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Real
um
conversation.
yeah.
Real. That's what we need. No, but it's interesting what you said, because you were saying about the most important thing for you is, yeah, finding what lights you up. And also that's what you wanted to do in others as well, is help them find their light. It's funny, isn't it, that it's just what we want is seeking us, or whatever the phrase is. I can't remember. But
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. We seek in others what we want in ourselves.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And for whatever reason, whether it's because you feel selfish to ask, or to expect that, um, yeah, for whatever reason, it can be hard to get your head around how to get that, and how to actualize it for yourself. But like,
Yeah.
there's nothing better than when your heart is like, is shining, right? When you can feel
Totally.
it leading the moment. And I think that
Totally.
that's
Totally.
it.
And I think as well, before we go as well, and I always think that as well, if I want something or I need help, what I've realized is just do that for somebody else, if you know what I mean.
I do.
And
I
that's
do.
how that sort of is how it sort of works. It's like, no, just give. And then not just giving to receiving, but that's the sort of positive cycle,
Yeah,
not
you
just
you put it
expecting.
out there. You put it out there, and like,
Yeah.
it's like dropping a drop of water onto a flat lake, right? And the
Yeah.
ripples spread, and they spread in all
Wow.
directions. And you never know the things you say and
Yeah.
how they're going to change someone else's moment, right? You know, like that's a big part of the reason why I
Yeah.
love to do video, because
Wow.
it's the truest version of what I have to
Wow.
offer, right? I
Wow.
don't, I can't edit it. It's just me. It's all of the feels. It's all of the very specific Patrick
Yeah.
Rife things. And,
Yeah.
you know, I read a thing recently that's specifically talking about building an audience, right? And the reality is that the 80% of the people that you're having the most positive amount of impact, they're not that you
They're not
don't know.
engaging.
You can't see
Yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're not
Yeah,
even
yeah.
liking your stuff. But
Yes, that
if you
makes sense.
disappeared, they would miss you tremendously. And I
Wow.
just try and keep that in the back of my mind because it is an empowering tool, right? When you're hitting record and you're like, I'm an idiot, like I'm an idiot. You're like, but you start talking and you're trying to do it, and internally you're like tearing yourself down. And I just try and
Oh,
continue to
no.
remind myself that there are people that benefit
Yeah.
from what I say and do. And I don't know who they are, but it
Yeah.
doesn't mean they're not benefiting.
No. And you're benefiting as well anyway.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I think, well, I'm doing this for me as well. You know, this helps me. It reminds me, you know.
Yeah.
So
It helps me. I'm not ashamed to say that I'm trying to help me first and foremost,
good.
because
Yes.
if I'm not doing the best for me, there's no possible way for me to
Yes.
also do the best for anyone else.
Yeah, exactly. 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 And you sort of then you let go and then you become unattached. And I think
Yes.
that seems to be healthier. I
Yeah.
kind of prefer that than, because I always used to hold on, cling on to things, force, push, all of that. It's just waste of time. But no, thank you so much, Patrick. Oh my God, we have to go. Is there anything else you want to say? Oh, we're both doing that, so we're mirroring each other. Is there anything else you want to say before we go? One final last thing. And how can people find you?
I want to say thank you. That this has been a wonderful way to start my day. I know you're not starting your day, but I'm starting mine. I have so much appreciation for you, Jasmine. Thank you so much.
Oh,
And anybody that is tuning in, whether it's on Instagram or whether it's on LinkedIn, just reach out. If you've got an idea, if you got something you want to chat about, you know, my DMs are open. I love to connect with new people, and you know, thank you so much.
thank you so much, Patrick. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I will see everybody next week.